Did you know the king of rock and roll had a dark side? Have you ever really listened to Elvis Presley's lyrics? Number 8. Heartbreak Hotel. Ever checked into a place so lonely you could die? That's exactly where Elvis takes us in one of his first major hits. Heartbreak Hotel might have a catchy beat, but when you actually pay attention to what he's singing, it's pretty disturbing stuff. Released in 1956, this song became Elvis's first #1 hit on Billboard's Top 100. The toe-tapping rhythm might fool you into thinking it's just another love song, but the lyrics tell the story of a man so devastated by lost love that he's basically given up on life. Well, since my baby left me, I found a new place to dwell. It's down at the end of Lonely Street at Heartbreak Hotel. Elvis croons about a place where broken hearts stay and where the bellhop's tears keep flowing. The song's most chilling line: "I get so lonely, baby. I get so lonely. I get so lonely I could die." That's not just sadness. That's straight-up despair. What's even darker is the song's inspiration. Songwriter Tommy Durden read a newspaper article about a man who committed suicide, leaving behind a note that simply said, "I walk a lonely street." Durden and his co-writer Meg Boren-Axton turned that tragic story into Heartbreak Hotel. Elvis delivered those gloomy lyrics with such raw emotion that you can almost feel the desperation. The echo effects used in the recording add to the feeling of emptiness and isolation. It's like you're right there in that hollow hotel room with all the other broken-hearted souls. The song became an anthem for the broken-hearted, but few fans stop to think about how deeply depressing the subject matter actually is. Next time you find yourself bobbing along to Heartbreak Hotel, remember you're actually enjoying a song about profound loneliness and suicidal thoughts. Not so fun now, is it? Number 7. In the Ghetto. How would you feel if your birth essentially sentenced you to a life of poverty and crime? That's the grim reality Elvis presents in the Ghetto. Released in 1969, this song marked a departure from Elvis's usual romantic or upbeat themes. Instead, he tackled social issues head-on with a story about systemic poverty and the cycle of violence in America's inner cities. The song tells the story of a boy born in Chicago's ghetto to a mother who cries. From the very beginning, his fate seems sealed by his circumstances. The lyrics follow his life from birth to death in a chilling, cyclical narrative. And his hunger burns, so he starts to roam the streets at night, and he learns how to steal, and he learns how to fight. What makes this song particularly dark is its inevitability. The young man eventually buys a gun, attempts a robbery, and is killed, becoming an angry young man who, face down on the cold, cold ground, leaves behind his own child to start the cycle anew. The song ends exactly as it begins, with another child being born into the same circumstances, suggesting this tragic cycle will continue endlessly. When Elvis recorded this song, America was grappling with civil rights issues and urban poverty. The Vietnam War was raging, and cities were experiencing riots and unrest. Against this backdrop, In the Ghetto wasn't just a song, it was a powerful social commentary. What's surprising is that this came from Elvis, an artist who wasn't particularly known for political statements. A.C. Davis, who wrote the song, originally titled it "The Vicious Circle," which perfectly captures its dark theme of inescapable poverty and violence. Elvis's mournful delivery makes the song even more awful. His voice conveys genuine empathy for the characters in this urban tragedy. The gentle arrangement contrasts sharply with the brutal story being told, making the message hit even harder. Next time you hear those opening notes, remember that In the Ghetto isn't just a sad song. It's a devastating portrayal of systemic poverty and violence that continues to resonate more than 50 years later. Number 6. Suspicious Minds. Have you ever been trapped in a relationship built on distrust? Elvis's 1969 hit Suspicious Minds explores the psychological torment of loving someone while being consumed by doubt. On the surface, this song has an upbeat tempo and catchy chorus that made it a dance floor favorite. But listen closely, and you'll discover it's actually about a relationship collapsing under the weight of paranoia and suspicion. We're caught in a trap. I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. These opening lines immediately establish a disturbing dynamic. The narrator feels imprisoned in the relationship but stays because of an overwhelming, possibly unhealthy attachment. Throughout the song, Elvis pleads with his lover to trust him, suggesting an ongoing pattern of accusations and distrust. The dark, psychological element comes from the song's portrayal of how suspicion creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. We can't go on together with suspicious minds, and we can't build our dreams on suspicious minds. The relationship is doomed precisely because of the fears about it failing. What makes this song particularly unsettling is how it captures the mental anguish of being distrusted. So, if an old friend I know stops by to say hello, would I still see suspicion in your eyes? Elvis sings, revealing how constant doubt from a partner can make even innocent interactions feel threatening. The song's infamous false ending and rise, where it seems to end but then continues, serves as a musical representation of the couple's inability to break free from their toxic pattern. They can't end it, but they can't fix it either. They're truly trapped. Suspicious Minds came during Elvis's comeback period and reflected a more mature approach to relationship songs. Mark James, who wrote the song, based it on his own personal experience with jealousy and distrust in a relationship. Elvis's passionate performance makes the song's emotional torment palpable. You can hear the frustration and desperation in his voice as it builds to those powerful "we're caught in a trap" refrains. The song may have a driving beat and catchy hook, but it's essentially about psychological torture disguised as love. Number 5. Hound Dog. Did you know one of Elvis's most famous songs is actually about cruel rejection and humiliation? Hound Dog isn't about an actual dog. It's using that image as a devastating insult. When Elvis performed this song on national television in 1956, parents were scandalized by his hip movements. But the provocative performance distracted from equally provocative lyrics. This isn't a cute song about a pet. It's a harsh dismissal of someone who has been exposed as fake and unworthy. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. You ain't never caught a rabbit, and you ain't no friend of mine. These lyrics essentially call someone a worthless, lying failure. The person being addressed has been snooping round my door and making false claims only to be found out and ruthlessly cast aside. What many fans don't realize is that Hound Dog was originally performed by Big Mama Thornton in 1952, and her version made the meaning even clearer. It was a woman telling off a freeloading man who was using her. The song was written by Jerry Leiber and Mike Stoller, who were just teenagers when they penned this scathing rejection anthem. Elvis's version changed some lyrics and altered the context, but the core message remains harsh. You've been exposed as worthless and you're being thrown away like garbage. They said you was high class. Well, that was just a lie. The song repeatedly emphasizes that the person has been completely figured out and is being coldly dismissed after their true nature has been revealed. The upbeat, driving rhythm of Hound Dog masks its cruel message. People have been dancing to this song for decades without necessarily registering that they're grooving to what amounts to a public humiliation put to music. Elvis delivered these cutting lyrics with such energy and charisma that the actual message got lost in the performance. His aggressive vocal style and the song's pounding beat turn what could be seen as mean-spirited lyrics into an empowering anthem about refusing to be fooled any longer. So the next time you hear Hound Dog, remember you're not listening to a silly song about a pet. You're hearing someone being told they're worthless and unwanted in the most public, devastating way possible. Number 4. Jailhouse Rock. Ever considered the disturbing implications of celebrating prison life? Jailhouse Rock might be one of Elvis's most recognizable hits, but it's also one of his darkest if you actually pay attention. Released in 1957, alongside the movie of the same name, Jailhouse Rock became an instant classic with its driving beat and Elvis's energetic performance. On the surface, it seems like a fun song about inmates having a dance party. Dig a little deeper, and things get uncomfortable quickly. The song cheerfully describes a prison dance where the whole rhythm section was the Purple Gang, referring to a notorious Detroit mob group. That's right, it's casually mentioning that violent criminals are providing the entertainment. The lyrics go on to describe various prisoners by their numbers rather than names, stripping them of their identities. But the most troubling lyric comes in the third verse. Number 47 said to number 3, "You're the cutest jailbird I ever did see. I sure would be delighted with your company. Come on and do the jailhouse rock with me." This is directly referencing sexual relationships between inmates presented in an upbeat, casual manner that completely ignores the often non-consensual reality of prison sexual encounters. Written by legendary songwriters Jerry Leiber and Mike Stoller. Jailhouse Rock treats incarceration as a fun setting for a dance party, complete with the warden and prison guards joining in. The prison band was there, and they began to wail. The band was jumpin' and the joint began to swing. This light-hearted portrayal of prison completely ignores the harsh realities of incarceration. Elvis himself starred as a prisoner in the film for which this song was created, playing a man serving time for manslaughter who becomes a music star. The song helped establish the prison as rock and roll setting, trope that would be repeated throughout popular culture for decades. The catchy chorus and Elvis's electric performance have made Jailhouse Rock so iconic that few listeners stop to think about what they're actually singing along to. The song transforms a place of punishment, violence, and confinement into a setting for a wild party where everybody, prisoners and guards alike, comes together in harmony. Next time you find yourself dancing to Jailhouse Rock, remember you're grooving to a song-eyed, romanticized version of prison that makes light of incarceration and suggests that jail is just one big rock and roll party. Number 3. Trouble. Are you brave enough to admit when you're the villain of the story? In Trouble, Elvis doesn't just hint at a dark side, he fully embraces it. Released originally for the 1958 film King Creole and later featured in Elvis's 1968 comeback special Trouble, presents a protagonist who isn't asking for sympathy. Instead, he's issuing a warning about his own dangerous nature. If you're looking for trouble, you came to the right place. If you're looking for trouble, just look right in my face. From the opening lines, Elvis establishes himself as someone to be feared, not loved. This isn't a love song, or even a song about being misunderstood. It's a direct threat. The lyrics become increasingly menacing as the song progresses. I'm evil. My middle name is Misery. Well, I'm evil, so don't you mess around with me. There's no ambiguity here. The narrator is explicitly identifying himself as a dangerous, malevolent force. What makes Trouble particularly dark is that Elvis performs it with absolute conviction. When he growls, "I never look for trouble, but I never ran," you believe him. The bluesy arrangement, with its ominous guitar work, enhances the threatening atmosphere. Written by Jerry Leiber and Mike Stoller, Trouble was intended to establish Elvis's character in King Creole as a tough guy with a rough edge. But the song took on a life of its own, becoming an anthem for Elvis's bad boy image. When Elvis performed Trouble during his 1968 comeback special, it was a deliberate reclaiming of his dangerous rock and roll persona after years of bland movie roles. Dressed in black leather, Elvis revisited the song with even more intensity than the original recording, reminding audiences of his ability to convey menace and danger. The song influenced countless rock artists who followed, establishing the dangerous rocker archetype that would be adopted by everyone from Jim Morrison to Alice Cooper. The idea of the performer as someone to be feared rather than adored was radical for its time. Culturally, Trouble reflected the perceived threat that rock and roll posed to 1950s society. Parents were already worried about Elvis corrupting their children, and here he was proudly declaring himself evil and warning listeners to stay away, while simultaneously drawing them in with his magnetic performance. So the next time you hear Elvis proclaim, "I'm evil," remember, he's not playing the hero or the romantic lead in this song. He's embracing his role as a threat, a disruption to the social order, and he's doing it with a smile. Number 2. Blue Moon. How can a song be both hauntingly beautiful and deeply disturbing? Elvis's version of Blue Moon walks this fine line perfectly. Recorded in 1954 during Elvis's Sun Records period, this rendition of the 1930s standard transforms what was originally a hopeful love song into something far more unsettling. While the original lyrics remain intact, telling the story of someone finally finding love after loneliness, Elvis's interpretation changes everything about the emotional tone. Elvis strips away the traditional orchestration and replaces it with a ninist arrangement featuring just his voice, Scotty Moore's guitar, and Bill Black's bass. But it's his vocal approach that truly creates the eerie atmosphere. Elvis sings in a ghostly falsetto that sounds almost otherworldly, closer to a moan or wail than traditional singing. The result is a version of Blue Moon that sounds like it's being performed by someone on the edge of sanity. The loneliness described in the lyrics, "Without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own," takes on a much darker quality, instead of seeming like temporary sadness that will be relieved by new love. Elvis makes it sound like an existential condition. Sam Phillips, the producer and owner of Sun Records, understood the unsettling quality of this recording. He added reverb to Elvis's vocals, enhancing the ghostly, distant quality. The echo makes Elvis sound like he's singing from some void between worlds. Musicologists have noted that this version of Blue Moon has more in common with field hollers and ancient laments than with traditional pop music of the 1950s. There's something primal and deeply disturbing about the way Elvis approaches the melody, turning a standard into something that sounds ancient and haunted. What makes this recording particularly dark is the contrast between the hopeful lyrics and the desperate, almost frightening delivery. When Elvis sings about the blue moon turning to gold, he doesn't sound relieved or happy. He sounds like someone having a religious experience that's equally ecstatic and terrifying. This version of Blue Moon appeared on Elvis's first RC, a compilation album, and has fascinated listeners for decades. David Lynch used it in his film, Wild at Heart, understanding its power to create an atmosphere of beautiful dread. Critics have called it everything from ghostly to from another dimension. The next time you hear Elvis's Blue Moon, pay attention to how his otherworldly falsetto transforms a simple love song into something that sounds like a transmission from the afterlife. Is he singing about finding love, or is he documenting some more profound, more disturbing transformation? Number 1. Heartbreak Hotel. Can a place break your spirit? Is there a location where despair is the only resident? Elvis thought so, and he sang about it in one of his most disturbing hits. Are You Lonesome Tonight? Might sound like a simple love ballad, but it contains some of the darkest themes in Elvis's catalog. Released in 1960 after Elvis returned from military service, this song became an immediate #1 hit, despite its deeply unsettling content. The song begins innocently enough with Elvis asking if his former lover misses him. But it quickly transforms into something far more psychologically complex. Is your heart filled with pain? Shall I come back again? Tell me, dear, are you lonesome tonight? What makes this song particularly dark is the spoken word section in the middle. Elvis shifts from singing to reciting a monologue that compares life to a play, suggesting that relationships are just performances where people wear masks and play parts. You know, someone said that the world's a stage, and each must play a part. This theatrical metaphor becomes increasingly disturbing as Elvis continues. The stage is bare, and I'm standing there with emptiness all around. He describes a devastating emptiness, suggesting that, without his lover, reality itself has become meaningless. The implication is that identity is fragile and dependent on relationships, without the other person. He's just an actor without a role, existing in a void. The psychological depth of Are You Lonesome Tonight is remarkable for a pop song of its era. It explores existential themes like the nature of identity, the performance aspects of personality, and the way reality itself seems to warp when we lose someone we love. You lied when you said you loved me, and I had no cause to doubt you, but I'd rather go on hearing your lies than to go on living without you. That last line reveals the truly disturbing heart of the song. The narrator would prefer to live in a beautiful delusion than face a truthful reality without his lover. He's essentially saying he'd choose comfortable lies over painful truth, a psychologically complex admission rarely found in pop music. The song's arrangement enhances its eerie quality. The Jordanaires provide ghostly backing vocals, and the instrumentation is sparse and somber. Elvis's delivery alternates between tender singing and theatrical recitation, creating a disorienting effect that enhances the song's themes of reality versus performance. Are You Lonesome Tonight? Was actually written in 1926 and had been recorded by several artists before Elvis, but his version brought out the psychological darkness inherent in the lyrics. When Elvis asks, "Is your heart filled with pain?" you can hear in his voice that he already knows the answer, and it's not the one either of them wants to hear. Have you ever noticed how the most beloved songs often hide the darkest themes?